Okay, law of cosines. Your book gives you 3 rules. I'm going to give you 1 rule.
I felt like yesterday's English was pointless, but at the same time beneficial.
Okay.
It just kept me awake.
The reason the book gives you 3 rules is because if you switch A, then you switch all the other letters around. But the letters are arbitrary anyway, so it doesn't matter what letters you put where. But whichever side you put over here, then that's the angle you use over here. And then the other 2 sides go over here. But again, your book, so if you want them, I'm not going to write them all down. But your book gives you a total of 6 rules. It gives it to you in the form of A, then gives it to you in the form of B, which again, you just put the B over here and then use A over here. Gives it to you in the form of C, and then they take and they solve for the cosine, which if you need to do that, you can do that in your problem. So they want you to memorize 6 rules. That's ridiculous. You only need 1 rule. You write everything in this 1 rule, then if you're solving for cosine of A, then you use your algebra to move the other numbers to the other side. Yeah. Someone has to write the textbooks.
How do you know where to put the letters on the
This is pretty much the Pythagorean theorem with an adjustment for it not being a right triangle.
It's like I know
The letters, the only matter for the letters, it doesn't matter where it goes except for the matching letters have to be opposite of each other. So little a has to be opposite of big A. Other than that, it doesn't matter. That's the only thing that matters. Okay, so that's the rule of law of cosines. Now, the other benefit to cosine is that with sine how we have all that junk with, there's a possibility of no solution and 2 solutions. We don't have that with cosine. Because with cosine, it actually covers the whole gambit that we can have with a triangle. So we don't have to worry about any of that. Cosine will give us the exact angle that we need every single time. Because cosine only works with these 2 possibilities, side, 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 and side, angle, side. So with the ones that we use, so with these possibilities, that we were doing with sine, these don't work with cosine. So that's why we have to use law of sines. Okay, so in this case, we couldn't use law of sines because law of sines requires that we have to have at least 1 angle. But with law of cosines, we can do this. So we need to find an angle. Doesn't matter which angle we find first. It's just whichever side we start with. So if I start with the 19 first, then I put the other 2 sides on the other. Minus 2 times 8 times 14 times cosine. Now, I take the 19, I use the opposite angle. Sorry, I always forget to get out my calculator. Okay, so 19 squared minus 8 squared minus 14 squared this is going to be 101 equals negative, let's see, 2 times 8 times 14, 224 cosine B. So cosine B equals 101 over 224 negative. Yep. So B equals the arc cosine of 101 or negative 101 over 224. Yep. I just chose numbers. It doesn't matter. I just decided since 19 was the biggest, I was going to start with it.
Oh, you don't have to actually.
Nope, doesn't matter. How did I do which one in the calculator? So what I started with is I went ahead and did this math in here. So I did 19 squared minus 8 squared minus 14 squared to get 101. And then I did this, the 2 times 8 times 14 to get negative 224. Okay. It's negative because of the minus sign in front of it. Because B is across from the 19, which I put in front. What? But this is times the cosine, so I have to divide it off. Whatever's on the opposite side of the equal sign has to be whatever's inside the cosine. So B is going to be 116.80 degrees. Okay, then I can find another angle. So let me find 14. So I wanted to do this one just to show you that cosine can return obtuse angles. Sine could never return obtuse angles. So I just wanted to verify that for you. Okay, so let me find angle C now. So if I want to find angle C, I would start with the 14 because 14 is across from that. Then I put the other two sides across from the 14, so 8 squared plus 19 squared minus 2 times 8 times 19 cosine of C. So 14 squared, I lost my square button, minus 8 squared minus 19 squared would give me negative 229 equals negative 2 times 8 times 19, negative 304 cosine of C. So cosine of C equals 229 over 304. So C is going to equal the arc cosine of that. 229 over 304. Sorry, I squished things there a little bit. So our cosine of 229 divided by 304. So angle C is going to be 41.12 degrees. Now, I could go through all that work again to find angle A, or angle A is 180 degrees minus those other two angles. $22.08. So, whenever you can use it, I would suggest using law of cosines. Because again, law of cosines are for sure. I mean, there is no option of having it mess up on you. Law of sines is easier because it's just a proportion. But again, this is definite, yeah. 1A and that's it. No, because you have to have three numbers in order to do this. Even with law of sines, we had to have three numbers. Yeah. With law of cosines, you have to have at least two sides. So if it helps you, you can draw a picture. But with this, I have B and C and capital A. I'm missing lowercase a. So this one would have to be set up like that. Again, if you need to, you could set up the triangle. If wherever I put angle A, so if I put angle A up here, little a would have to be down there. Wherever I put angle B, little b would have to be across from it. So I just randomly put the letters in. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The triangle will take care of itself. So if I'm finding stuff, the only option I have to find something is little a. Because in order to find one of these angles, I would have to know all three sides. But I don't know all three sides. But I can find little a since I know what angle A is. Now with this one, I can just put all that into my calculator. I can actually do this. I can do square root of all that in my calculator. So square root of 15 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 15 times 10 times cosine of 115. Yep. 21.26. Now, once I have that side, I have options. I can use law cosines to find angle B or angle C, Or I could use law of sines at this point. So, since I know that, I could actually set up law of sines. I could do 21.26 over sine of 115 equals 10 over sine of c. But now that I have that side, I have more information. Now I have as. I have angle side side. No. I had side angle side. See, before I had side angle side. Now that I have side A, I have angle side side, which law of sines will work on.
I don't understand the line up here. Because on like the right top we have like the up line now, it looks like
Except for it's not angle side side, because this angle is actually in between those two sides. Because side B and side C, angle A has to be in between those. If you don't understand it, yes. All right, so this would give me C would have to be arc sine of 10 sine 115 divided by 21.26 Now, on this one, even though angle side side is the one that can cause problems, I am safe with using it here, because the problem is with angle side side is whenever there could be an obtuse angle. There cannot be an obtuse angle because I was already given the obtuse angle. So I don't have to check for B prime or anything else like that. Yeah.
So the first problem, if you found one angle, could you just use law of sine?
Yeah, you could have. So with this one, I am totally safe using this because I already have my obtuse angle. So finding C prime wouldn't matter because C prime wouldn't work with angle A. So B would be 180 minus 115 minus 25.23. So there's that. All right. One more. Story problem. Practice with bearing again. And actually, with story problems, you should like them more because they're actually less work. You don't have to do all the work to find all the parts of the triangle. You're only looking for one piece instead of all the pieces. Yeah, I say you just have to actually get the picture drawn. That's the hard part. All right, so you have a ship. Travels 60 miles due east. Okay, now it turns northwards. We don't know how much northwards it turns. It just goes northwards somewhat for 80 miles. And then the ship is 139 miles from its starting point. And then what they want us to find is the bearing of the turn. Okay, now this is actually a really easy problem, because what I'm going to do first is I'm going to find this angle. I'm going to call it alpha. And then theta is just 180 minus alpha. And with law of cosines, I can find alpha, because I know the three sides of my triangle. So, since I want this angle, I have to start with this side. So I do 139 squared equals, these two, doesn't matter what order I put them in, so I set that up. Let's see, 139 squared minus 60 squared minus 80 squared. So 9,321 equals, see, 60 times 80 times 2. It's going to be negative 9,600. So I'm running out of space, so I'm going to skip a little bit of the algebra here. So arc cosine of negative 9,321 over 9,600. So alpha equals, where? Up here? Theta, okay, I'm looking for a bearing. So there's two options for a bearing. I can either do this angle, or I could split this angle up and put it in here. I chose to do this one because I knew I could find this angle, and then I could just do 180 minus that, which is a lot easier than trying to split this angle in half with that 90 degrees. I could do that. I can take this angle and subtract 90 degrees from it and get this one. It doesn't really matter. I just chose to put theta there. Again, I could just as easily have done this and put theta here. My theta looks really bad. And then I could do alpha here and do my theta there. So whenever I'm grading your guys' papers, I will do both thetas. That way I can grade depending on which one you guys choose to do. Whenever you're doing bearings, you have two options.
So what you're doing here is just figuring out like theta 139 is A, just compare the angle for A, and then subtract 180, and that's the bearing.
Yeah. Or if you do the inside one, you would subtract off this 90 degrees here, and then that would be your bearing. And then you just have to put the proper letters with it. So this one here is going to be east angle north. This one's going to be north angle east. Because it matters on which direction you're touching and then going in the other direction. Okay, so what's my angle here? 90 divided by, so this is 166.15. So with the theta that I did, theta So for this angle here, I'm starting at the east line and I'm going 13.85 degrees north. If I did this one over here, I would do north 76.15 degrees east. So on the test, I would be looking for either one of those angles with the proper lettering with them. Okay, let me give you guys this. Page 443, 1 through 10, 15, 16, 29, 31 through 41.